Well, for more insights into China's economy, let's bring in Doug Guthrie, Professor of Global Leadership and Executive Director of China Initiatives at the Thunderbird School of Global Management. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So what stood out to you as some of the key takeaways from that National Bureau of Statistics Economic News Conference?
Well, there are a couple of key things to think about with respect to China right now. As is clear, the entire world is in crisis right now, and we're all sort of pulling ourselves out from the pandemic. China has done a very effective job at moving through the pandemic, and just, it's been a difficult authoritarian process in doing that, but it's amazing at how efficiently they've done that and how much the manufacturing supply chain has got back up to speed. As some of the previous speakers were pointing out, GDP has bounced back to about 6%. Retail sales have bounced back to where we sort of think they should be. And so I think that most people in China are feeling pretty optimistic about how things are going. That being said, this is a tough time for everybody. And, China is very much focused on making sure that it is strategically pivoting in a way that allows it to continue not just its relations with its largest trading partner, the United States, but also its building of a relationship in the Belt and Road Initiative. And so there's a lot of interesting things going on right now.
So let's break down some of that. You mentioned November's retail sales. We did see growth slowing for November, but talk about what's driving the pace of it and how long you expect it to last.
Well, and here again, I'm less nervous than the previous speakers were talking about, just because, of course, it's been the case that as the country's been in lockdown, retail sales have dropped. But, my team in China continues to tell me that people are increasingly confident that consumer engagement is bouncing back, that people are re-engaging in the economy. And so I don't think the retail sales and the consumer sales issue is that big of an issue. Of course, for China, the biggest issue is its centrality as the hub of the manufacturing supply chain for the world. And so that's the big question, and it looks fairly healthy right now.
Now, we do know that outbreaks at ports were one of the contributing factors, among others, for some of these supply chain disruptions. What's the latest on how these supply chain disruptions are being managed?
Well, here again, China has been very, very aggressive in managing these processes, right? So, if you think about countries like the United States and a few other countries that have had extreme tolls in death rates and whatever with respect to COVID, China has been, they've been very aggressive in managing it, as has Taiwan, by the way. Taiwan has been even more effective than the mainland. But, for a country of 1.4 billion people to have about 5,000 deaths from COVID, it's a pretty remarkable process. Now, what's happened with respect to your question of the supply chain is that it's still, they've been very, very aggressive whenever there have been outbreaks. There's just complete lockdowns. There's complete contact tracing. And so that tends to be a disruptive process, but they've been able to control the process. And so my sense is that the manufacturing supply chain it's back up and running, and it will continue to be.
I want to shift gears and talk about the property market. Do we have a clear picture yet about how what's happening in the property market is affecting the overall economy?
Well, I think the Evergrande case, it's been certainly gotten a lot of press, and it's been an embarrassment for the Chinese government. My sense, and our team has just recently done some research on this, and we think that, yes, it's the Evergrande case. There's certainly over-leveraging, and it's been a big problem, and it's been an embarrassment for the Chinese government. But my personal view is that it's a little overstated. The Chinese government has just been in the process over the last 6 years of rebuilding a property tax process and really building in the process of thinking about the relationship between the central government, local governments, and local governments actually collecting revenues from the investors that are developing there. And so the Evergrande case has been very difficult for them. but I think it's a little overstated. I don't think it's actually going to affect the Chinese economic growth that much.
All right, we do appreciate your insights. Doug Guthrie there, Professor of Global Leadership and Executive Director of China Initiatives at the Thunderbird School of Global Management.